great.
Welcome, Michelle. We do have a quorum now. Thank you. Michelle, Brent is running late and he is also joining virtually. So, but we do want to go ahead and open the meeting now that we do have a quorum. So welcome to the August 24th school committee meeting for the town of Foxborough. As always, we would like to open with public comment. Before we, and if anyone is in attendance in the gala room at Town Hall, please make sure that you have signed in on the sign-on sheet with your name and address so that we can have that for our records. And when we get to the open public section for people in attendance, we will call you up to the center table, to the microphone, and we would ask you to state your name and address. And we would ask this evening that you limit your comments to approximately 3 minutes. Okay, before we do that, I do want to thank everyone who has taken the time to make any submissions to through our community inbox since last week. I can give you I'm going to read through a list of names and addresses of everyone that has submitted a letter to the inbox. Ellen Garber from 3 Tara Ann Drive, Kelly Ann Florentino from 47 Adams Street, Leah Gibson, 14 Fairway Lane, Jennifer Foley, 32 Edwards Road, Sarah Hayden, 63 Alden Street, Kate Alpert, 14 Hodges Road, Rachel Daly, 78 Prospect Street, Carrie Weston, 7 Judge Brown Lane, Jill Lampson, 5A Morse Street, Michelle Crockford, 11 Boyden Drive, Rebecca Kelly, 18 Forest Road, Natalie McGrath, 105 South High Street, Heather Kelly, 14 Nason Lane, Carolyn White, and I do not have an address for Carolyn White, Liam Weston, 7 Judge Brown Lane, Sarah Conley, 11 Alger Road, Kate Paolino, Foxborough, I do not have an address for Kate either, Tiffany Elliott, 3 Howe Lane, Heather Margolis, 121 East Belcher Street, Brianna Timmons, 159 Oak Street, Steve Feinstein, 3 Standish Avenue, Jacqueline Karakoff, 1 Ledgeville Avenue, Catherine Angevine, 235 South Street, Steve Coote, 8 Windsor Drive, Megan Hunt, 6 Maura Elizabeth Lane, Shuli Aronson, 1 Armsby Lane, Shelby Kornbluth, 20 Lawton Lane, Patrick McNamara, 1 Hillcrest Road, and Matthew Moore, 1 Hillcrest Road. Just so everyone is aware, that is approximately 40 submissions in the past 2 weeks. As you might imagine, most of the inbox submissions that we received have been in regards to a mask policy. If anyone, these comments are all available, but if just for a slight tally for anybody that is interested, we are essentially, as far as people in favor of a mask policy or people are mandated mask policy, and people in the community not in favor of the mandated mask policy, it is almost an even split 50-50. Again, that is about 40 submissions out of about 1,500 families. So thank you for taking the time to submit to the community inbox. Sarah, I'm sorry, if you could help me just facilitate anybody that has signed up to speak during the open public comment section.
We have 3 people signed up to speak right now. If anyone would like to get up and speak, they can come and fill out their name and address, and they can be added at any time.
Okay. So who is first on the list, Sarah?
First on the list here is Julie Curry.
Okay.
I think you can go anywhere.
And so Julie, before you get started, I'm sorry, I would like to welcome Mr. Reuter to the call as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Curry, and I'm here again today to once again oppose the mask mandate. And I'm disappointed by the outcome of the DESE vote this morning, and I have many questions, as I'm sure we all do, about what this year will look like for the students. Removing masks October 1st, if 80% of the students are vaccinated, is unrealistic and will only create segregation in the schools. 80% is a number that is nearly impossible to reach. Massachusetts has one of the highest vaccination rates in the entire nation, and we are still not even at 80%. Keeping masks on unvaccinated students is wrong on several levels. Kids will be bullied for being the reason things are not back to normal. And who will be policing these kids? Will they have vaccine cards or something to show in the hallway if they're unmasked? I just feel like that's not a very realistic expectation. Elementary kids are not eligible for vaccines and probably will not be until 2022. So the plan to keep masks on them is indefinite. We don't even have an answer for that. It's not fair. And I appreciate the normal school year that you spoke about in detail last week. It does sound great. The only part that's very discouraging is that kids are still in masks, which is not normal. These kids have a 0.001% chance of dying from COVID, but we're putting them in a mask just in case. Local hospitals are not seeing pediatric COVID patients. Not one child in Massachusetts has died from COVID. There were more vaccinated people than unvaccinated people in the hospital with COVID last week. Explain that. And 0 pediatric patients in the hospital. I don't understand why we must assume that every child is sick until they are proven healthy by PCR tests. PCR tests, if you do a little more research, are faulty. The flu and other viruses test positive for COVID. If everyone's wondering where the flu went this year, it was probably a positive COVID test. So the number of COVID cases is very skewed. Most kids were mask-free all summer at Foxborough public school camps, and they were thriving. Camp went awesome. I did not hear of any COVID cases at the Ahern, and then there was only one case at IGO. My son was in direct contact indoors with no masks on with another child who tested positive for COVID. One child tested positive. No masks inside for 2 days, and not one kid got sick as a result. My kids have been to countless indoor birthday parties this month. No masks, no COVID positive cases. I'm disappointed that there were no parent surveys this year. There were several surveys last year about social distancing and what parents were comfortable with. There was not one survey for parents this year. Why didn't parents get a voice here? But parents' voices are not being heard, and masks are being mandated. So why can't we tweak this policy? Why can't kids take off their masks when they're sitting at their desks 3 feet apart, like people do in restaurants? You walk in, you sit down, you take your mask off. I've seen the classrooms, and there is enough space for 3 feet between desks. They had space between these desks last year. There's no reason why the kids should not be able to breathe freely when they're not moving around. I'll end with this quote from Thomas Jefferson. There is no justification for taking away individual freedom in the guise of public safety. Thank you.
Julie, thank you very much. If you could just make sure Janet has a copy of your comments, please. Thank you.
Next
Sarah, who's
next
next
we
on
have
the list?
Shelby Kornbluth.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. So I understand that the DESE board has authorized Commissioner Riley to impose a mask mandate for school children, which nullifies any authority you have as local administrators and school committee members of this decision. So while I do not agree with the mask mandate, I'm still here because I care about the well-being of my children and the children of Foxborough. If school administrators truly cared about the spread of COVID and keeping schools open, then they would ensure real controls with statistically significant data are implemented. This is what I talked about last week with HEPA filters and air filtration in the classroom. And so I did want to follow up with one of the questions that I had last week and I also submitted in the public inbox is, do we know what the turnover is of air in classrooms on an hourly basis?
Mr. Yukna, would you prefer to get that information for Ms. Kornbluth or?
Bill Yukno is not with us tonight.
Oh, thank you. I can only see the room. So,
Okay.
Shelby, I do believe that we have that information, and that's probably something that we can make available on the. would defer to Amy and Allison, but I think we may be able to make that information available on the Foxborough Public School website.
Thank you. I mean, I specifically asked the question last week as well as over the, during yesterday. And so I was hoping to have an answer tonight, but if you could please provide one, that would be great. Because the studies have shown that if you have strict engineering studies show that if you have proper air filtration, you do have a 90% reduction in disease transmission, where a mask, there's not a single study that shows statistically significant difference between masks and no mask, and it's been in numerous studies. In addition, there was a study that was on the CDC website from Georgia, where over 90,000 students were in the study, and in that specific study, they showed that HEPA filtration and turnover of air in the classrooms did have a 37% decrease in transmission rates in those classrooms. So I think that if we really want to impose things that provide real meaningful benefit instead of some piece of cloth or paper that really does nothing, that would be much more beneficial to all of us. I mean, I understand that you have no choice now, but at least we can do things that really do help rather than things that don't. So I really think that we should make sure that we have those types of controls in place if we truly are concerned about this in our children. I also wanted just to say that last week I heard how resilient our children are, that they're doing so well with these masks, but you don't live with them at home. They come home every day. You don't know what these kids are saying to their parents. They put a brave face on to teachers, administrators, all of you, but they come home and this is not normal. There's anxiety, there's depression, there is a higher incidence of kids in children's hospital for anxiety and depression than there is for COVID. What does that tell you about where we are right now? I mean, it's truly sad. And years from now, we're all gonna look back on this and wonder why we did so much damage to our children. So, thank you.
And lastly, we have Joe Geratri?
Joe Garrity, but I'm gonna wait till.
Garrity, sorry, Joe.
I had a question, but I'm gonna wait till after the superintendent update, if that's okay.
Is that okay?
Of course, if it's in reference to this, to the superintendent's update, then we can certainly wait till that agenda item.
Just for anyone in attendance, if anyone else would like to get up and speak, if you could just sign up and fill out your name and address. But if everybody's all set, then we can go to our next point on the.
Thank you. Sarah, thank you very much for facilitating that. Next item on our agenda this evening is the approval of minutes. The first set of minutes is from the executive meeting on the executive session, on July 12th. Does anybody have any questions or comments or revisions to those meeting minutes? No. Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
Motion to approve?
Thank you. And then Michelle, I'll take that as a second. I got too many things to look at. So we do have to do a roll call vote since we are virtual this evening. So Michelle?
Aye.
Thank you. Brent?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Thank you. And I am in favor as well. So the executive session minutes from our July 12th meeting are approved 4-0-0. Next set of minutes is from the open meeting from July 12th. Any questions or comments or revisions to those minutes?
We need a vote to release the executive session minutes.
We need a vote to release the executive session minutes.
Thank you. We haven't done, this is my first one of those, so thank you. Before we go to the open meeting minutes, let's do a vote to release the minutes from the executive session.
I move to release the minutes from the executive session.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. Sarah?
Yes.
Michelle?
Aye.
Brent?
Aye.
And I'm also in favor, so we will release the 4-0-0 to release those meeting minutes. And am I forgetting anything else?
Okay.
Janet
Good.
says we're good.
Okay, thank you. Next is the meeting minutes from the open meeting on July 12th. Any questions, comments, or revisions on those minutes?
None.
I move to
No?
approve the open meeting minutes from July 12th.
Thank you. And may I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. Brent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I myself, so those are also approved 400. Thank you very much. Dr. Burdos, we are going to turn it over to you for the next item on our agenda.
Yes, I'd like to ask Miss Katie Timmons to come right up to the guest table here. Really excited to introduce. Many of you know her. She's been here with us for the last year. She's here this evening as for the school committee appointment for school nurses. That's a Massachusetts state law. Katie joined us last year. She's the .4 nurse at the middle school and the .4 nurse at the high school. And the reason it's a year later is because in addition to school nurses having to have their RN, they then have to go through the DESE certification, and that takes time in order for that to happen. So we're always about a year later, it seems like, once that appointment actually comes up. So she joined us at a time when everyone was looking to school nurses, and parents and teachers and staff, and just did so much last year. So first of all, thank you for everything that you did. Our opening day this morning, all of our nurses had a standing ovation by all faculty and staff, which was so well deserved. But Katie comes to us from the Brigham and Women's Hospital in her past, so you have in your packet her resume that's here. But I just wanted to give a chance for Katie just to kind of tell a little bit about what her experience has been, because I know she's been so excited to be a part of our Foxborough school community, and we've been so excited to have you here with your expertise as well.
Thank you very much. So yes, I'm Katie Timmons. I started here a year ago. It wasn't the way I expected a school year to go, as many of you didn't either. We had a lot of challenges, but really and truly, you felt the teamwork, the collaboration, the care for the kids so deeply that it just became home. So I've been so fortunate to work with Jen Rosenberg and the other district nurses. I've popped around usually between the high school and the middle school, but I have seen some of the elementary kids as well. And everyone's been truly amazing. It's such a great town, such a great district. I can't speak highly enough, so I hope to make it permanent. So getting my DESE certification was one of those, pieces. So I'm happy to have it and happy to be here. As Dr. Burdos was saying earlier today, being back to school this year feels, a lot more uplifting and hopeful, and getting together and being able to see your colleagues and talk about the school year, and it just is more than I can wish for. So I'm very happy and grateful and thankful to be here. I love the kids, so looking forward to this year and a little more normalcy and kind of seeing what Foxborough runs like in other school years. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for walking along that path with us last year. It was interesting for everybody, and I just thrilled that you're going to stay with us for another year at least. Hopefully, it's a long-term relationship. So thank you. Anybody have any questions for Katie? No, Michelle.
No, I won't say the question. I'm just, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate after such a tough year that you're willing to stick with it. And our students can only be better having more nurses in the school system. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Michelle. Anybody else?
Thank you.
No. Katie, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you very much.
We do need a vote for appointment.
Thank you. Oh, Brent, was that what you were saying, or do you have a question? The vote?
It's time to vote, yes.
Okay, yeah. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the appointment as recommended by school administration.
Thank you. And may I second, please?
I second that.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Michelle? Hi.
Aye.
Brent?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm also in favor, so 400. Katie, it's official. Or Kate, it's now official. Wait, I'm confused. Are we going by Kate or Katie? I'm sorry.
I usually go by Katie. We have another school nurse at the high school, Kate, so we'll get you really confused this year.
Right.
Take much. It doesn't really take much. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
And Dr. Burdos, we're going to stay with you for an update.
All right, so last Thursday night, we had our parent virtual town hall, and that is also, it was recorded, and it's on our website on the main webpage. So thank you for the parents that joined us. I know I've had a couple of emails asking where to find that, and it's right on the main webpage. The link is there. And as always, thank you to Mike Weber and Foxboro Cable Access for hosting us and making that as seamless as possible. Today, we had our first day back with all our faculty and staff. We met in person in the high school auditorium, and it was such a great positive vibe to have everyone there. You really felt it. People are excited. They're ready to welcome back students next year. Chairman, you did a wonderful job this morning with your remarks to faculty and staff. So thank you, Mr. Canfield, for that. People really were excited, and they see a difference in what it looks like, obviously, from last year. That's an understatement. But just really excited to start the school year, to be back in person. And then over the next 2 days, we have 2 full days of professional development that will be taking place. And so we're looking forward to learning together and really working again towards our district initiatives. We welcomed 18 new teachers, 2 new educational assistants to our Foxborough school family. We also had a number of new folks in our food service and our facilities, maintenance, custodial crew, and transportation as well. So we welcome everyone to our Foxborough family and are really excited for what the next 2 days bring for professional development, and then as well as welcoming our students on Tuesday, August 31st. There have been a lot of emails that have started to go out from each of the schools with information, so do check your emails as far as information that's coming out from your principal. My other update is something that was actually noted in the public comment part here, which was on last Friday, so in between our last school committee meeting and this evening. The commissioner came out and he's in a press release, it actually said that he was going to be requesting for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education to provide him with the authority to issue a mask mandate. And that mask mandate would be for all public school students, and that would be through at least October the 1st. And in that, it was citing the increased case rates, and then to further encourage additional time for students and staff to be vaccinated. This morning, the board met in a special meeting, and at that meeting, they did vote to give Commissioner Riley the authority to mandate masks in public schools. So that will be in place, and it will be revisited at that time by the Department of Education as far as what goes forward. And that was a 10-0 affirmative vote this morning for the board. So that was the extent of my update, and the only other thing is if there was any additional comments, Dr. Mello, that you wanted to add for professional development over the next 2 days.
No, just that we're really excited about the speakers that we have coming to join us. We have some really top-notch national speakers who will be joining us and really speaking to the outcomes of the school year that we've had, focused on equity, focused on really meeting the needs of all students, which we know have changed over the years. So we're really excited for a good, positive day, and then on Thursday, working on curriculum.
Right. So that's
Thank
it for
you.
the update.
Any questions or comments are on the update?
We do have
Joe,
a question by Joe Garrity.
Joe, would you like to come forward?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My question is in regards to visitors in schools this year, what will the policy be?
So at this point in time, as far as visitors on a regular basis, we're going to still limit some visitors. We're still going to have our in-person for open houses and those things. But it's going to be something that we're going to be looking at as the school year starts. So it's going to be a little bit limited, but we're going to have our in-person open houses and those kinds of things.
And then what about for like high school concerts, will the parents be allowed at that, or community, or what about for inside for volleyball?
So a lot of those guidelines will be forthcoming, so it's not something we can get into this evening they're going to vary depending on whether it's outside activities or inside. And then also too, we know that it's fluid and it's changing as far as what is allowed indoors and large group gatherings.
Right, because I was just curious about the concerts with if you can have, I know at the end of last year, they did in the gym, everyone social distance, but no parents were allowed.
Right, so it's going to look different this year. We can now have students sitting next to each other. The
In the
social
auditorium?
distancing has been lifted, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I saved it for when saved it for after the
Any, any other questions or comments from anyone?
We do. We have Shelby Kornbluth who'd like to ask a quick question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not
we just
quick,
want,
ask a question.
No, we just wanted to correct the record that the DESI vote this morning was not unanimous 10-0. It was in fact 9-1. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Thank you.
I think we're good.
Dr. Bertos, are we moving some things around on the agenda, or are you going to
No,
the next two items?
we're still able to have our update as far as the summer work and preparation for the opening of school. We have Carl here in Tony's place, Carl Fuller, the Assistant Director for Facilities, and we also have Aaron Heyer here for Technology.
Okay.
So we can
Thank
invite
you.
them up to the guest table.
Okay. So, gentlemen, would you like to join us at the front table? And then Dr. Bertos, would you like to make an introduction on this agenda item, please?
I would be happy to. So what you're going to be hearing is no doubt the amount of work that has taken place because the buildings shine from top to bottom. And Mr. Fuller will be talking about what they've been doing to get the buildings ready for school to open next week. And then Mr. Heyer will be talking about technology. And also at the same time, we know we're in a different place with the one-to-one deployment and with students having devices at home over the summer if they were middle school or high school students. And he's going to talk about that a little bit too.
So I have a facilities update for the summer of 2021. I'm going to lift it off by school first, and then at the end of district-wide, what we've done throughout the district. So the Igo Elementary School, we installed a new rubber tile flooring on the 3rd floor hallway. We replaced the building's hot water system, installed additional refrigeration system for the kitchen staff. We replaced entryway flooring at the door number 1 entryway. And we painted select classrooms. At the Taylor School, we installed special ed apparatus in the OT-PT room. We painted select classrooms, and we replaced old desks with new ones from COVID funding. The Borough, we had no changes due to the MSBA renovation project. The Ahern Middle School, we rebuilt room 251 for the Green Architecture Project Lead the Way program they have going on there. We painted selected classrooms. We refinished the gym floors. We updated the school bell system, replaced lighting in the media center, and installed new roadside electronic message board. Also, that's not on my list, is we did repair some of the sidewalks on the side of the building that were getting deteriorated from salt and just age. The Foxborough High School, we painted selected classrooms, we refinished the gymnasium floors, and we updated electrical in 10 classrooms for new smartboard technology. District-wide, we removed all the furniture from the classrooms and cleaned all the furniture and floors top to bottom and waxed and sealed the floors. We stripped and waxed approximately over 500,000 square feet of tile flooring in classrooms and common areas and hallways. We installed safety mulch in the playgrounds at the Igo, Burrell, Taylor, and Ahern. And general housekeeping such as HVAC air filters were changed, electrical repairs and lighting repairs, and we cleaned the kitchen vents and the grease traps in all the kitchens. And currently we are working with the KBA architects to design and bid replacement of a 200-ton HVAC chiller at the Ahern Middle School. So we've had a busy summer as we do every year, but everything's going to plan, and we are ready for school next week.
The buildings look beautiful.
Great.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good evening. So first, I just want to say how excited I am to be here in person and to be sharing some news about the preparations for the start of our in-person school year. With much of the conversation over the last year about technology and remote learning and some of the growing pains around remote and hybrid and using Zoom or WebEx, that really have made some great strides, both with responding to students' needs during COVID, but also moving forward our capacity around digital learning and our instructional programs, from this point forward, both in our buildings and then expanding the school day as well. So I typically list off the hundreds of devices that we touch all throughout the summer and the maintenance type items we do. I report out on those annually, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But most importantly, I really want to thank our staff, and that's our teachers, that's our administrators, that's our school committee, but it's also our technology staff. So we've had a technology staff of about 6 or 7 folks over the past 2 years, the 2021 and the 2021 and the 21-22 school year. 6 or 7 people that have been working 60, 70, 80, 100 hours, 5, 6, 7 days a week throughout COVID. From March till June in that first school year, and throughout the summer. So over the years, right, technology, instruction, it's changed. The summer is another transition for us, but it's not just about maintenance. We have technology support for ESY and our expanded summer learning this year. And with digital learning, right, the learning it keeps happening. So it used to be at the end of the summer, we would start resetting computers and things like that. Now the learning isn't stopping. We continue to maintain computers and instructional programs all summer long while trying to also do our summer maintenance. So again, I want to thank everybody for being flexible, whether it's teachers, it's parents, again, school committee, but I really want to go on record and thank our technology staff. Again, I think that some of us spent more time with school administration and curriculum folks and with each other than we did with our families in the past year and a half. So with that said, a shift to one-to-one this past year at Lightspeed was truly amazing. Again, both on the instructional side of the curriculum, the ingenuity that our teachers, our students, parents had to keep learning going. But everything that we do now this year or past year is in addition to what we had been doing, but it's totally different. It's really a pivot from in-building learning, right, to having computer labs or defined computer classroom spaces, to using technology to enhance learning throughout the day in every content area, to really take advantage of what technology brings to enhance learning for students, and whether that's engagement or encouraging higher order thinking or problem solving. It really has changed what we're doing in terms of student learning. It really has been a game changer. So in light of all of the sacrifice and the uncomfortableness through COVID, I do believe that the changes and the advancement in technology is something that will continue to benefit our students. So with that, in order to support our one-to-one program, we've installed access points in every single instructional space throughout the Foxborough Public Schools. So that's all of our classrooms, it's all of our project-based learning areas in all of the buildings. We've also increased our network capacity to 20 gigabytes of network capacity between all of our buildings. And we've gone from 500 megabytes of internet bandwidth to 5 gigabytes of bandwidth. So we've made some technological strides in order to meet the needs of, we'll say, mobile learning, right? So providing opportunities for mobile learning and and digital learning throughout the buildings. In addition, some of the projects, as Carl mentioned, updating interactive boards, we really work hand in hand with maintenance. I'd like to thank maintenance as well, the custodial staff. Really, everybody comes together through the summer to make things happen and provide an excellent value, really, to the community of the schools. The stuff that our technology staff and our maintenance staff are able to do in-house really stretches how far we can take things. So we were able to upgrade interactive technology in all of our math rooms, and we were able to do that using mostly in-house resources. And the other piece is, in terms of a lot of the work that's been done, it's extremely difficult to locate, in terms of logistics and purchasing, anything related to technology, whether it's computers, whether it's interactive equipment, whether it's projectors, whether it's printers. Several of the large printer companies have ceased operations in North America, and the stock. So even things like logistics for purchasing have become things that used to be very simple to quite laborsome processes. So the fact that we have the talent we have internally, we're really able to make things continue even when the supply chains are difficult to work with. So again, in addition to these types of projects, there's the regular maintenance. There's a resetting all the classroom computers. Maintenance staffs work diligently to clean all of the rooms thoroughly. All the equipment is removed, and our staff is charged with getting the equipment back in the room and making sure that it's ready for learning when students come back. So again, I'd just like to echo my gratitude to the staff and to our technology staff that work so hard, and then just open it up if anybody has any questions. So.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone on the committee? Michelle?
Hi, I thank you so much for all the work that both you and the staff have been doing to keep our schools ready and prepared for the school year, because it is so important. We really found that out last year. I just wanted to point out, because I know that the question's been already asked earlier, was about the HVAC systems and what kind of filters are we using and so forth. I wanted to point out that the HVAC report that we had done last year by Colliers International Independent Audit is on the website under the COVID-19. It is specifically under the HVAC report. From my memory, but I don't always like to trust my memory. I like to back it up with information. We are using the MERV 13 filters, and I just wanted to check with both of you that is correct. We're still using that level or above filters, which is the recommended filters to be used for COVID. I do know that the air changes, we're 100% outside air. We have higher than recommended for air changes per hour. So we're always trying to get that good fresh air into the classrooms, which is so important. And I want to confirm, since we have you here, that's still operating procedure. Nothing's changed. We haven't rolled back anything, that we're still working on ensuring that we do have fresh air, multiple changes with those higher level air filters. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we definitely, as Colliers pointed out in their study, that we have well above the recommended air changes per classroom per hour. We have stuck with the ratings, the max air ratings on the filters that we can use, which is what they suggested. And we also went from changing our filters 3 times a year to this summer we've decided to going forward, we're going to go change 4 times a year, just to keep those filters changed out through the year. So no, I mean, nothing has changed. Everything's been great. We've been keeping up with the HVAC equipment, and other than now adding 1 extra filter change throughout the year, everything seems to be running great. So.
Right. And is the recommendation still going to be that to keep windows open in the classrooms as well? For those classrooms that are appropriate to have that done, is that still going to be the recommendation?
I'm sure, the teachers have, fair game on opening windows if they, want to, and if obviously the air outside allows the comfort level for that. I'm sure everybody will definitely do their part to kind of get as much airflow as we can in the building.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you. Brent, did you have a question?
It was more just a point. The follow-up on your update was, I just wanted to remind folks who are watching that one of the reasons we were able to actually get to in-person learning faster than many other districts is because of the work that these gentlemen do at and their team do with the HVAC system, and the fact that they were, there's so many districts who just, even if they had the space, which many of them didn't, they couldn't put kids in classrooms last year because their HVAC systems weren't up to snuff, because it's one of the first things that many districts let slide with deferred maintenance, and Foxborough doesn't. And so thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sarah, do you have any questions or comments?
No, just want to thank you both for all you've done, you and your teams, honestly. We're really grateful.
Yeah, I would like to echo that. Just the grounds that I've walked around in the past week, and then being in the high school today, as Dr. Brodos mentioned, the building looks like it's in fantastic shape. So thank you for all the work there. And as both Michelle and Brent have said, thank you for the continued work on the HVAC and making sure that everything is functioning in the way that we want it to function, or optimally. And then Aaron, I'm a big hero. Excuse me, you're a big hero to me, simply because we threw a lot of stuff, or the situation threw a lot of stuff at you last year and your team, and you guys overwhelmingly met the challenge and continue to do that every day. So thank you for all the work that you're doing as well, you and your team. It really does make a world of difference for the entire school community. Anything that you guys, any way that we can support you, either one of you or either one of your teams more effectively as a school committee, we're here to do that. So thank you, and we really do appreciate it.
All right.
Dr. Brodos, anything else?
No, again, as it's already been said, it truly has been a tremendous amount of work. And I know that even when we go back to our culture and climate survey and the data, we received that back this summer. And we'll be reporting out on that, in the fall. From staff and faculty, from parents, it was all really complimentary of all of the extra work that went in. It was seen from a building and maintenance standpoint, from all of the hand sanitizers and all of the extra cleaning and this electrostatic machines, like all of that. It was really noticed by faculty and staff, made a big difference in making them feel in a safe learning environment. And from the technology side to the patients, and I know that our technology department had many conversations with parents too that were frustrated in being able to log on, and just the constant phone calls and the support that was there. It really was extraordinary. So those efforts are not unrecognized, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Dr. Brodos, are we going to, I'm sorry, do we, looks like we do not have a quorum for the Board of Health, so we don't need to, you guys don't need to open a meeting, I'm assuming. You're just, great. Thank you very much. So Dr. Brodos, do you want to set us up for to discuss the financial policies?
Sure. So the financial policies is something that came out of here out of Town Hall from Bill Keegan's office. It was done in 2016, and there were a couple of amendments that were made to this policy. You have a memo there that it's explaining that, which has a clarification for OPEB funding, which is at the bottom of page 5 and 6 within that document, and then the public works funding at the bottom of page 7 and top of page 8. So it's voted on by all boards just to accept this policy, whether it's FinCom, school committee, any of the boards in town. So it just needs to be voted by the school committee to accept the changes to that financial policies from the town.
Thank you. Does anyone on the committee have any questions about the changes to the policies? No, Sarah, I can't, you're really small on my screen because I'm on my, I'm on my laptop, so I can't tell if you're raising your hand or anything,
No.
sorry.
No, my
Okay.
hand's
Very
down.
clear.
I apologize for the limited technology, everybody. So if there are no questions or comments about the revisions to the policy, may I have a motion to accept the revisions?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. So Sarah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Brent?
Aye.
I am also in favor. So the revisions to the financial policies are approved 400. Next on the agenda, thank you guys very much. Next on the agenda is the second reading of the revised mask policy. Before we go into the second reading, does anybody have any questions or comments on the revisions that we want to incorporate before we go through the reading again? Michelle?
I would just say that I'm disappointed that the Department of Education, that the state has taken this decision away from us. I do think that this is something that is much better to be done community by community. And I hope that this is not an indication of what the school year is going to be like, where we're constantly getting changes that are coming down from the governor's office and from various boards, where we're now having to scramble, our schools, our administrations are having to scramble to deal with them. It's disappointing. And regardless of that, regardless of what comes down, in October, of whether they change it or not, I still believe we as a school board need to be on top of this, keeping track of it. Also seeing how the students are doing with this, especially the high school students, because I think it is really important, and we need to listen to the kids as well, especially high school. So that's my opinion on it. And I do appreciate all of the parents who have reached out through the community inbox, as well as emails to the school committee's members directly. We do hear you. This is a very tough issue. And I do believe that it's not straightforward. It's complex in so many ways. So that's just something that I wanted to relay as to what my opinion is on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Brent or Sarah, any questions or comments before we go with the second reading?
No, I really appreciate Michelle saying that, and I agree with a lot of what she says.
Do we get to make comments on that, or no, just for you?
If you'd like to speak.
I mean, I'd like to make a comment on it, yeah.
If you want to come up, you can fill it.
Yeah.
People can make comments, correct, Rob, as long as they fill out the form?
We do want to limit that to
Limited to 5 minutes, and you just need to sign.
Yep, that's okay, I will in a second. So I guess my question to you guys would be, how do you challenge that? Like, when does Foxborough, I guess, stick their neck out and say, you know what, we don't want to keep following what the state keeps telling us to do? So I know that DC is saying, okay, you have to, every kid now has to wear masks. But when do you guys lead instead of follow? Last year you guys just followed. You just went along. I know it was tough times for everybody, but I think you got to peel back the onion a little bit and look at what's going on and see that these kids, the demographic of these, the kids in school are not affected at all by this. So now the state is saying, okay, all children in school have to wear a mask. But where does Foxborough basically get the balls to lead and say, you know what? I mean, I'm sorry, there's a lot of women here, and I apologize, but really, somebody's got to say it. My wife and I had to pivot last year. We sent our daughter to a private kindergarten. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but to all the parents that are listening and watching and here in this room, my daughter's excelling. Why? Because she went to a private school. You know, and I was a product of a public school, so I want to send my daughter to a public school. She's 6 years old. She writes her name in cursive. She's reading almost at a second grade level. She knows basic math. She can put 2 and 2 together. And she hates masks. She thinks that they're stupid. Why? Because she can't see anybody's face. She plays hockey. She's on a hockey team. You know, the kids wear masks, quote unquote, but they don't. And I should tell you this, just as an anecdotal part of this, you know, the private school she went to, there was 0 masks for every student. The entire year, 0 masks. I won't name the school, but how many COVID cases were there? You probably don't know because I'm not telling you the school. 0. 0. Nil, nothing. So again, I guess, Foxborough, where will you, I guess, you know, take the bull by the horns and lead? Quit following. You did it last year, and you guys struck out. You really did. You literally struck out.
How so?
So-
We had a great year last year.
Brent,
Okay.
hey, sir, I
So
thank you for your comments.
Yeah,
Sir?
listen, I'm going to wrap up here, but all I'm saying is that Foxborough, I think, should lead and not follow. We're the parent. You're pissing off a lot of parents, and people are upset, and people are getting angry. And I don't want to see things escalate, but it's getting real close to that. So I think you guys need to start thinking outside the box and how you're going to handle all of these kids walking onto a school bus for the very first time wearing a mask, looking at their bus driver for the first time. Is that bus driver even smiling?
Sir, we are at a disadvantage because you did not state your name or your address. I'm
Joseph
assuming you're-
Pyries, 83 South Grove Street in Foxborough.
Thank you very much. You need
All
to
right.
make sure you sign in, and we do need to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Sure. I'm all set. I just wanted to put you guys on the spot and realize that there's parents out here who are paying attention. I had no idea. School committee, I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't be here at a school committee meeting trying to advocate for my daughter not to wear a mask in school.
Thank you for your comments this evening.
Thank you for your time.
We do appreciate
Thank you.
your
Can you do me a favor, just for the record? Just so we have it, please, thanks.
Sarah.
Did you, I don't think you filled out.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
can if you state your name and then fill it out.
Yeah, we do still need just so we have it for the record correctly. So
Brianna
thank
Timmons,
you.
159 Oak Street. So you said it.
Brianna,
Yep.
Brendan, I do want to ask you to limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and,
Okay.
and
I thought it was 5
really-
minutes.
No, we're going. It's at my
Oh,
discretion.
your
We're
decision.
actually-
Okay. So you said the school year was great last year. Do you have kids that came home crying because their anxiety? For Brent, do you have kids in the school system that came home crying because of their anxiety for masks and they can't
Again,
breathe?
I do want to remind Brianna. I do want to remind you our policy is to allow the public to speak.
Yes.
There's
I'm
no
speaking.
obligation to respond.
Brianna, yes,
You did.
yes.
And did you take care of your
And-
kids or do you have a nanny or something? Because there's parents that actually, you know.
No, we did it.
So
We did
you
it at
dealt
home.
with your kids yourself. You didn't have babysitters.
No,
You dealt
I'm a-
with
no,
all that
I'm a
anxiety
teacher.
that your kids had.
Yeah, as did a lot of families.
Oh,
And it
well,
was
then
the
it must
best
be
we
great
can
that your
do.
child has no anxiety.
I didn't say that, did I?
Must be great that your child doesn't have a disability.
I
didn't say that, did I?
Brianna, I'm going to ask you to make a public comment, and again, this
I
is
think
not
that
a question
Foxborough
and
should be a
answer.
leader, not a follower. We're teaching kids to be leaders,
are
not
leading.
followers, and you guys are being leaders. That's all I have to say. I mean, you guys are being followers. I apologize. Big followers and hypocrites, actually.
Could you sign in, please?
Thank you. Would anyone else on the committee like to make any questions or comments about the face mask policy before we do a second reading? Brent, Sarah?
No, thank you.
Okay. Brent, you good?
Good.
Okay. So we are now going to move into a second reading. I don't know if anyone would like to entertain a motion of waiving the second reading. since there was only one minor revision from last week, and that was the inclusion of that one sentence. The committee commits to monthly monitoring of this policy based on current conditions. Would anyone like to waive the second reading, or do we want to read the policy in full again?
I move to waive the second reading.
Is there a second?
You
No?
can read it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for us to read it.
Okay, Michelle, that's fair. Go for it.
Michelle or Sarah, would you like to do the second reading, or would you like me to do the second reading?
Can I do half of it?
Absolutely. You want to start and then
I'm trying to get through the meeting. I really am. Okay. But I want to participate. Okay. So face masks, it's the file number EBCFA. The Foxborough Public Schools is committed to providing a safe environment in schools during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Maintaining a safe environment is crucial to the district's ability to educate students in a full-time, in-person classroom experience. And according to public health experts, one of the best ways to stop the spread of coronavirus and to keep members of our school community safe is the use of face masks. Therefore, using the guidance and recommendations from the Center for Disease Control, CDC, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, DPH, and the Foxborough Board of Health, the district has established the following requirements which remain in place until further notice. The committee commits to monthly monitoring of this policy based on current conditions. A face covering that covers the nose and mouth must be worn by all individuals in school buildings and on public transportation. Masks can be disposable or reusable and will need to fully cover the nose and mouth and secure under the chin, fit snugly but comfortably against the side of the face.
Michelle?
Yep.
I'm sorry, just there's one correction. You said in school buildings and public transportation. It reads on school transportation.
On school transportation, sorry.
Thank you.
Masks can be disposable or reusable and will need to fully cover the nose and mouth and secure under the chin, fit snugly but comfortably against the side of the face, and be secured with ties or ear loops. Based on guidance from health authorities, neck gaiters, open chin triangle bandanas, or face coverings containing valves, mesh materials, or holes of any kind will not be considered appropriate masks. Individuals may be excused as further defined herein from the requirement for the following list of reasons per CDC guidance: if the individual has trouble breathing, is unconscious, is incapacitated, or cannot remove the mask or face covering without assistance. In addition, masks or face coverings will not be required for anyone who has a medical, behavioral, or other challenge making it unsafe to wear a face mask or face covering. A written note from a treating physician is required for a requested exemption. Parents may not excuse their child from the face mask requirement by signing a waiver. Additionally, face masks or face coverings will not be required when appropriate social distancing is enforced: during mask breaks, while eating or drinking, during physical education classes, while outside. Exceptions to this policy under certain circumstances, such as for students with medical, behavioral, or other challenges who are unable to wear masks, must be approved by the building principal in consultation with the school nurse or Foxborough Board of Health. Face shields or physical barriers may provide an alternatives in some cases. A student's mask is to be provided by the student's family. Staff members are responsible for providing their own face coverings. However, the district will supply disposable face covering for individuals who arrive at a building or board school transportation without one. If students are in violation of this policy, building administration will consult with the parents, guardians to determine whether an exemption is appropriate. If not, the student may be removed from the school building's in-person learning until such time as they can comply with the requirement or the requirement is lifted. Violations of this policy by staff will be handled in the same manner as other violations of school committee policy. Visitors in violations policy will be denied entry to the school district facility. This policy will remain in place until rescinded or modified by the school committee or is revised at the superintendent's discretion in accordance with guidance issued by the state or local health authorities as necessary. Legal reference: Commonwealth of Massachusetts COVID-19 Order Number 31. Do I have to read the website?
Citations.
Just the references.
Just the references. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, considerations for wearing masks. Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education reopening guidelines. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mask Up Massachusetts. Guidance statements, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, guidance for COVID-19 prevention in K through 12 schools, updated August 5th, 2021. Center for Disease Control's guidance for COVID-19 prevention on public transportation, Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, fall 2021 COVID-19 guidance. I think, source MASC, August 2020, policy adopted September 2nd, 2020, adopted as revised June 15th, 2021.
Thank you very much. You made it.
I made it.
One more time, any questions or comments from anyone on the school committee about this policy? No? Go ahead.
One question I had was, I know last week we were asking the health department, when are we going to have a good idea of what the vaccine amount is, percentage is for the different schools? You know, because that's obviously now going to get important, and we can debate whether 80% is the right number or not. And we can do that later, but at another time. But when are we going to have a good idea of what that information is? Do we know more about what the timing is going to be on that?
I believe that some representatives of the Board of Health are still present, if anyone.
Yes, they are.
You also have, Mr. Chairman, in addition to Matt Brennan, the Director of Board of Health, you also have Deputy Chief Tom Kinvan that's here in the audience, as well as Nurse Leader Jen Rosenberg. You might not be able to see them, just wanted to let you know.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
So,
Matthew Brennan, Director of Public Health. I personally don't have the vaccination data of all the kids in school, but that would probably be done through the school system itself, through the nurse.
So we have the ability to link up to the MIIS system, which is the vaccination system in the state of Massachusetts. But unfortunately, not all providers' offices have given permission for vaccines to go there. So before this meeting, I was actually in the middle of composing an email to go out to parents so that they could submit their vaccine records of their students, so that we can get a better estimate as to how many, actually better, more accurate data. Because as of now, we have about 65%, I believe, at the high school level, and it looked about 50% of the middle school level of eligible students that were vaccinated. So, but then again, that data is not complete because we don't have access to everyone's immunization record in the state. It has to be permission granted, and some providers' offices are kind of better at having the parents sign.
Michelle?
So just so I understand, is that providers like pediatricians versus, because from what I understand, most vaccines were given not at pediatrician, not at doctor's offices.
Right. So it would
is
be
the information coming from the doctor's offices?
So if it was given at CVS, then that should go right into the MIIS system. But if it was done at other places, so it's actually, the number shouldn't be that off to the accurate number.
Okay.
Because, right, most of them were given at offsite.
But if they were given out of state,
right,
then they wouldn't be in that.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's just something for parents to kind of recognize if they might fall into those kind of buckets, to make sure that the school's aware so that we can get our numbers out.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something regarding the mask policy really quick. Right now, the date that's out there is October 1st, saying that everything's going to be revisited on October 1st. I do feel more comfortable with the language that's in our mask policy, saying that we're going to update it on a monthly basis, because we don't want to ignore the fact that there's a lot that could go on between now and October 1st, and a lot of changes that could come down the pike. So I don't know. I just wanted to point that out, that the date is out there. We didn't know the date a week ago when we added the changes, but it's important for us to recognize that October 1st is sort of our first date benchmark. You know, I don't know, maybe I don't know. It's just important to me last week. I didn't know what the right answer was. I liked Michelle's phrasing, how she put it, because I think it's really important that the parents and families do know that we're listening to them and that we want to be committed to servicing everybody. We are a public school. We have to think of everybody.
Foxborough is very lucky to have the partnership with our local Board of Health. From day one, we have been hand in hand with this situation. We are in constant contact with our local Board of Health, and every decision made is been with them by our side, and we're very thankful. And I think the parents of Foxborough need to know that. Like, we will be constantly looking at the data. They
need to know about you too, and everything that you personally have done.
Well,
because you have been on this from day one, Jen. Thank you
I
very
think
much.
it's, today was stated earlier, the energy in this district is just awesome. I mean, today the teachers, we played a scavenger hunt at Ahern, and there was just so much energy, and everyone is here for the children. I believe everyone in this room, we all have, whether we have differencing opinions about the mask wearing, we all have the same goal in mind, and that is to educate our children, keep them in our building, but keep them safe and healthy. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to do it with the local Board of Health and just constant contact and the communication with the parents. I think that was key that kept us in school last year. The parents were amazing. They were constantly reaching out to their nurses. They were doing the daily system self-checklist. We've talked about this, that it's just not one mitigation strategy. It is the combination of all these mitigation strategies that we're doing that are working. And we saw it with the data that we have last year. So I think moving forward, we're going to stay the course, and we're not going to change anything because it worked last year. Kids are resilient, but I think too, as parents and as educators and as people that work in school buildings, we have to be the face of, give them a reason. We're doing this to protect everyone. It's not about ourselves, it's about other people. And I think if we frame it like that, it will go a long way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep. Brent, do you have any questions or comments? Sarah, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, it's okay. I wanted to just recognize how important it is and how much I like Michelle's language, just to show everyone that we are committed. I know for me personally, a lot of people have been talking about their personal experiences. Having my daughter outside of school and at home was the toughest, and that isolation was the toughest piece for her and for me as a parent, watching that isolation from someone who was just involved in everything to someone who was, stuck in a room just in front of her screen. It was really difficult. So it's important for everybody's health and wellness and well-being, and I hear Amy's message and really believe in it, that it's important to have them back in person. That's one thing that I would never like to see sacrificed ever again, because it was really a tough time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Sorry. If there are no more questions or comments, would anyone like to make a motion to vote on the policy? Brent?
I move to adopt the amended mask policy as presented.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Sarah. So Michelle, what is your vote? Thank you. Sarah?
Aye.
Thank you. Brent?
Aye.
And I am also in favor of the policy. So the revised policy is moved with a vote of 4-0-0. Just in summary, I do want to thank everyone for their participation. I do want to thank everyone for the data that they have shared with us, both the epidemiological data, the anecdotal data. It is very important to all of us that we hear you and that we listen to you. And as I stated earlier, interestingly, from the email submissions, it was about a 50-50 split between who was in support and who was not in support. Again, this is not an easy decision. I do appreciate, again, the thoughtfulness with which everyone approached this decision, and certainly do appreciate everyone's support of the policy. Thank you. I think we need to revise the vote. Somebody was actually corrected me, and I apologize. We actually do need to, as part of the motion, we do need to have the file number in that motion. So it's EDCFA. So the motion is to approve the phasing out policy. Yeah.
I move to approve policy EDCFA as amended and presented.
Thank you.
Tonight. Thank you.
And now may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And then Michelle?
Aye.
Thank you, Brent. Aye, Sarah.
Aye.
Thank you, and aye, 400. Again, thank you guys very much. Dr. Bertos, can I ask you to introduce us to the district goals for 2021, 2022?
So these are the goals during your goal-setting workshop this summer that were the school committee goals, and it outlines the goals for the school year as well as the functions and responsibilities of the school committee. And so we had brought this before, so this evening is for a vote of these goals. But what I would like to discuss before you go forward with this is under the first goal for communication, community relations, the insertion, which was the new goal, one of the new goals here, share and support final development and initial implementation of a new 3-year plan for success, 2021, 2024, and update for you on October of 21. As you know, that team of 33 people worked together, and then we shut down when we had to shut down in March of 20, and we were not able to pull that 33-member team back together to do that work. We've since brought that team back together this summer. And as you might imagine, by not having a team together for the full year to get that momentum back, it was a great day and a lot of work was accomplished on that day. But at the same time, what we realized through that was that, and it's not that it's any surprise to anyone, but COVID is still impacting this school year. And as a result of that, we have Dr. Ruth Whitner, who's also facilitating that process with us. And the conversation was, is it the best idea to go with a 3-year plan when we know COVID is interrupting this school year? And that if we had a 4-year plan, it would make more sense. And after much discussion, we felt as though that would be in the best interest of the schools. Also knowing the part that's critically important here is that we will have a 1-year action plan for every year that really takes the larger plan and outlines what will take place and what the focus and measurability will be and who's responsible for each of those years. So I would just like to make the amendment that it be a 4-year plan versus a 3-year plan, and it would end in 2025.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments or opposition to making those two amendments, moving it from a 3-year to a 4-year plan, which expands it from 2021 to 2024 to 21 to 25? Is the time, Dr. Bertos, is it still an update in October? Is that still
Yes, that
the
would still
expected
be
update?
taking place in October.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, or thoughts on making that change?
Seems reasonable to me.
I support it. It's wise.
I'm in support.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone, assuming everyone had a chance to review these, is everyone in agreement that these are still our goals for the 2021, I'm sorry, I can't even say numbers tonight. Yeah, that was right, 2021, 22 school year?
I'm in agreement.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
good.
So if we are all in agreement, would anyone want to make a motion? May I please have a motion to approve these?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 21-22 Foxborough Public School District goals for school committee functions and responsibilities.
Thank you. See, it's not that easy to get that double school year number out, is it?
Not at
thank
all.
you for doing that in support of me. I really, really appreciate it. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Brent. Michelle, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Sarah?
Aye.
Brent?
Aye.
And I'm also in favor. So the district goals for 2021-22 are approved 400. Thank you very much. Next to last agenda item, acceptance of donations. Dr. Burdos, are you handling this one as well?
I can. So this is always so wonderful agenda item here, the generosity of our community members. So the first donation to accept here is for the baseball program in the amount of $3,500, and it is from Daryl and Carrie Genetti.
Thank you very much. So may I have a motion to accept with much gratitude the generous donation from Daryl and Carrie Genetti in the amount of $3,500 for the baseball program?
I would like to move that we accept with gratitude the $3,500 donation to the baseball program by the Genetti family.
Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Brent. All in favor? Michelle?
Aye.
Thank you, Brent.
Aye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Aye.
Thank you, and I am also in accepting with very deep gratitude. So thank you for that donation to the Genetti family. Next, Dr. Burdos.
The second donation that needs to be approved here is from Retail Business Services to the Vincent M. Igo, that's the Igo Elementary School, in the amount of $1,317.65.
Thank you.
And that is A+ rewards.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the donation? Sorry.
I move to accept the donation of, I just lost the amount. I'm sorry.
Aye.
I'm sorry. $1,317.65 by the Retail Business Services, the A+ rewards. Sorry.
Thank you for the Vincent Igo Elementary School. Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Michelle?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Thank you. Brent?
Aye.
Thank you. And I'm also in favor. So thank you very much to the A+ Reward Program for your generous donation to the Vincent Igo Elementary School. Thank you. Last item on our agenda this evening, other matters. Dr. Burdos or Dr. Mello, would you like to lead us off?
I don't have any other matters this evening. I think I covered those in my superintendent update.
And the one I would talk about is professional development, which we already spoke about. So, and welcome back to our teachers and our staff.
Thank you very much. Sarah, Michelle, Brent?
I would like to
any-
take a second to thank the Board of Health members for being here again today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who participated in all these discussions. Again, very important that we try to understand all sides of all of the data, and then everyone's perspectives on how this is impacting our community. So thank you all, everyone. Sarah, anything else?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay, Michelle?
Nope. I would just reiterate, we do appreciate people taking the time to reach out to us, to come to the meetings, and that we're keeping an eye on all of this. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes in gathering information, as well as recognizing everyone's experiences has slight differences, and we appreciate that. And thank you for Jen Rosenberg for coming and being on top of that, as well as trying to get us the numbers that we need. We appreciate that because it seems like this year numbers and information is going to be crucial for us to be able to make decisions and push envelopes. So thank you.
Thank you. And Brent, any updates on your end?
Grateful that everybody is participating, and for all the people that reached out in writing, voicemails, and in person. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I would, two things. So as Dr. Berto said, I had the privilege of participating this morning in the back to school with teachers. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciated it. It was, as Dr. Bertos, Dr. Mello also said, and Jen Rosenberg also said, the energy and excitement in the room was palpable. I know that our teachers and all the staff are very excited about the start of the school year and the possibility. So again, thank you for that invitation, and look forward to getting great updates as the school year continues. And finally, I do want to, one more time, I really do appreciate everyone participating, either through the inbox, by attendance at the meetings, by sharing their thoughts, either directly with a member of the school committee. Please understand, again, we as individual school committees are not allowed to comment on any of the emails that we receive. That's why we do always encourage you to send things into the community inbox, because we as individuals are just individuals in town. We only speak as a committee. So I want to continue to encourage you to use either the avenue of the public forum at our meetings or through the community inbox. And with that, if there are no other updates, may we have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm sorry, I have one other thing. Sarah, I sent you this in a text earlier before the meeting started. I do appreciate really the fact that you were able to attend in person. I could not reschedule my business trip, so I had to attend virtually. I know Michelle and Brent have reasons for being virtual as well. So on behalf of me, I really do appreciate you being there in person and representing the committee as the face to the public at this meeting. So thank you very much. I know it was something that you did willfully and without hesitation, but I really do appreciate it, and I just want to acknowledge that as part of this meeting. So now, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Seconded.
Thank you. Brent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Sarah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
And I'm also in favor. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful week.